Sister wives. Janelle's son Gabe told Dad Kody he'd never see him again if he didn't take accountability. Family drama surrounding sister wives continues to unravel, and this time, it centers around Janelle Brown's son, Gabriel Brown, better known as Gabe. In one of the most emotional and intense family revelations, Gabe reportedly reached a breaking point with his father, Kody Brown. His words were sharp, heartfelt, and deeply cutting. At one point, Gabe told his dad that if he didn't take responsibility for his actions and acknowledge damage he had caused, then he would never see him again. This shocking confrontation adds yet another chapter to the already fractured family dynamic that fans of the TLC reality show have witnessed unfold over the years. The Browns, once portrayed as a unique and united plural family, are now more divided than ever. And at the center of this storm stands Kody Brown, whose relationship with nearly all of his children has been strained, complicated, or outright broken in recent years. But what exactly happened between Gabe and Kody? Why would a son, once so close to his father, reach a place where he was ready to draw such a devastating line in the sand? To understand this, we have to rewind and trace the path of their relationship, the choices that led to this breakdown, and the larger family issues that exploded on screen and off. The background of tension. For years, sister wives showcased the day-to-day struggles of balancing plural marriage. But as viewers know, when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, the cracks in the Brown family grew into deep divides. Kody established strict COVID protocols that he expected his wives and children to follow. Some family members, like Robin and her kids, complied almost to the letter. Others, particularly Janelle's adult children like Gabe and Garrison, questioned and resisted what they saw as unrealistic and controlling rules. This difference in approach created some of the most tense moments in the series. Gabe and Garrison, who were used to more independence, felt increasingly alienated from their father. They saw his rules not as protective measures, but as barriers preventing him from being a present father in their lives. For Kody, the pandemic became a test of loyalty. He believed that his children should prioritize his leadership and put aside their own judgment in favor of unity under his guidance. When they didn't, the relationships began to collapse. Gabe's emotional stand. The turning point came when Gabe confronted his father about the neglect he felt. For Gabe, it wasn't simply about COVID rules, it was about years of feeling like he and his siblings didn't matter as much as Robin's side of the family. Fans had long noticed Kody spending the majority of his time with Robin and her children, and the resentment from the other wives' kids was impossible to hide. During one heated exchange, Gabe made it clear that the pain ran deep. He told Kody that if he couldn't recognize the harm he had done, if he didn't take accountability for the way he had abandoned his children emotionally, then Gabe didn't want to have a relationship anymore. In his own words, Gabe essentially said that his dad would never see him again if things didn't change. Those words, chilling as they were not just anger. They were heartbreak. A son asking his father to truly see him, to validate his existence and his worth, instead of treating him like an outsider. The aftermath of Gabe's words. The confrontation left the Brown family shaken. For Kody, it was another instance of his children disrespecting him. He often framed these conflicts as his kids failing to honor his role as the father and head of the family. But for Gabe, this was about survival, emotionally and mentally. The fallout was painful. Viewers saw Gabe break down in tears during a confessional, struggling to process the fact that his once close relationship with his dad was crumbling. In fact, one of the most heartbreaking moments came when Gabe shared that his father didn't even remember his birthday. That revelation hit fans hard, showing just how far Kody's absence had gone. For many, Gabe's ultimatum wasn't about rejecting his father, it was about demanding love and accountability. He was essentially saying, if you don't take responsibility for the hurt you've caused, then I can't keep letting you hurt him. Janelle's role in the rift. Janelle, always known as one of the more practical and level-headed wives, was caught in an impossible position. On one hand, she wanted to protect her children from the pain of rejection. On the other hand, she tried to maintain some form of relationship with Kody, even when it became clear that his bond with their kids was fractured. Throughout the series, Janelle repeatedly pointed out that her kids felt abandoned, but her words often fell on deaf ears. Kody seemed to interpret her defense of Gabe and Garrison as disloyalty, rather than an attempt to hold him accountable. This dynamic only deepened the divide. Gabe and Garrison both felt like they had to stand up for themselves, since their father wasn't willing to meet them halfway. The larger family pattern. Gabe's confrontation isn't just an isolated event, it's part of a much bigger pattern in the Brown family. Kody's relationships with several of his older children have deteriorated over the years. Isabel, Christine's daughter, openly expressed frustration when Kody didn't travel with her for her scoliosis surgery. Michaelty and Aspen have also spoken cautiously about their distance from him. In many ways, Gabe's words capture what so many of the Brown kids seem to feel, that their father chose one wife and her children over the rest of the family. The pandemic didn't create the problem, but it amplified it. Fan reactions. Fans of Sister Wives were quick to rally around Gabe after his painful revelation. Social media lit up with support, with many viewers expressing heartbreak at seeing a son feel so unloved by his father. Some fans accused Kody of favoritism, pointing out that he always seemed to prioritize Robyn's household while neglecting the others. Others went as far as to say that Gabe's words were long overdue, that someone needed to confront Kody directly about the damage he was causing. Viewers praised Gabe's courage for speaking his truth, even though it clearly cost him emotionally. Kody's response. As for Kody, his response remained consistent with his usual stance. Rather than expressing regret or apology, he often defended his actions by saying his kids refused to respect his authority. He portrayed himself as a man caught between loyalty and disobedience, framing the situation as though his children had turned against him, rather than acknowledging that his own choices had pushed them away. This unwillingness to take accountability only further cemented the rift. Gabe's ultimatum, see me, acknowledge me, or lose me, was met with silence or deflection. And that silence spoke volume. The emotional weight. At its core, this confrontation highlights the tragedy of the Brown family's unraveling. What started as a story about a large, united plural family has turned into a cautionary tale of neglect, favoritism, and fractured relationships. For Gabe, the decision to stand up to his father wasn't easy. No child wants to sever ties with a parent. But his words reflect the pain of someone who has been pushed aside too many times. The emotional weight of telling a father, "You may never see me again," is devastating for both sides. What this means for the future. Where Doyle.